First of all, wanted to say a very warm welcome to everybody, and thank you very much indeed for getting up early and making the effort to attend. We have some people who have come as far as Port Melbourne this morning, which would have been an early start, and I'm delighted with the turnout, so very many thanks to everybody turning up. I'd say a special welcome to Mr. Brad Batten, our MP for Gembrook, and we've got Rotarians here, Emerald Group business members here, and friends and everybody else in the community. So a very warm welcome to you all. This is our first Emerald Business Group Breakfast Forum, and I hope it's going to be the first of many. We're planning to do one roughly a quarter, and this is typically the format that we're going to follow. But I would very much like to get your feedback and thoughts about ways in which you'd like to see it improved. So if there's particular topics you'd like to hear about, if you're interested in actually making a presentation, it'd be great to hear about that too. This morning, plan to talk a little bit about the rationale for the breakfast forums themselves. Why are we doing them in the first place? And we've got a few news items. That'll be a regular feature as well. So it's an opportunity for anybody attending to publicise their local events as well in the community. Then I'm delighted to welcome Brad Batten, and he is an entertaining speaker. I know I've seen him a couple of times. He's going to be talking to us about small business this morning. And as an integral part of these sessions, there will be what I'm loosely calling an education session. It's not going to be full on, it can't be in 15, 20 minutes, but it's going to be something that's going to educate, hopefully. And we'll put that as a regular item on the agenda each time. All that, I hope, will take somewhere between 45 to 60 minutes, and thereafter there should be some time for some networking. We've started a little bit later than anticipated, but I think the quality of the breakfast was well worth it, so they've done a fantastic job there, so I think you'll agree. So, without further ado, thank you very much. We'll give them another round of applause at the end as well. Okay, so why are we doing this at all? Well, I myself, I'm a business advisor. What I do is I provide mentoring, coaching, training and business advisory services, predominantly to small and medium-sized businesses. And those of you who know me, you know I'm passionate about supporting local business in the region. So fundamentally, one of the reasons for doing this, as I'm also president of the Emerald Business Group, is to enable local businesses in the region to get together, to connect and talk to one another so we can help improve our own businesses. It's a mechanism for us to communicate, share information and talk to each other about what we're actually doing within the businesses themselves and to connect. So we've got people from obviously outside the region for that purpose, and the more we do that, the better our business is going to be. Clearly, allied to that, networking opportunity. Get to know people that you otherwise wouldn't get to meet. Opportunity to share business cards, exchange information, keep in touch. And even this morning, I've met somebody who I'm going to be following up with after this meeting. So it does work, really does work. It will be a forum to, say, support local business education. Greg Brown is an expert in telecommunications. Likely next meeting we have, which will be in probably February next year, Greg will be talking about the National Broadband Network, for example. So if there are things that you'd like to hear about or you have a specific skill in disseminating information, I'd like to hear about that, and we'll plan that for future meetings. And finally, last but not least, the Emerald Business Group is really gathering some momentum. We're doing a fair bit, I think, around the community, and this is just one part of it. So it gives a little bit more, I think, visibility to ourselves. Did we have, Louisa, the membership kits? Did we wear it? The membership kits are on here as well. Okay, thanks, Mary. You'll find on the tables there's a membership kit that Lynn and Louisa have put together. Gives a really good overview about what the business group does, why it exists, the kind of things we're trying to achieve. A whole bunch of new initiatives in there, not only the business forum, but websites and Peter, where's Peter? I've seen him recently. There we are, Peter at the back there from the news agency, initiated a mechanism whereby we're looking to see if we could save money on fuel bills. And you may or may not be aware that up at Beaconsfield has actually taken on an initiative in doing that statewide. So those are the kinds of things we're doing. Any ways we can save local businesses money and help them in their business operation, we do that. Now, it is intended to be fairly free and easy, so if you have questions or comments as we go through, feel free to ask as well. So I'm now going to just ask a couple of people just to come up and say a few things about some news items. And first cab off the rank, Shane Miller, talk about Bushfire Safety Expo.
Thanks, I do need this. I've lost my voice. I was yelling at some of the kids last night. We're, 4 of the local brigades have got together to hold a Bushfire Awareness Expo in December, December the 4th at the Emerald Hall. It started off just as a little thing to get some of the people who aren't really connected with the fact they live in a bushfire area interested, instead of the 6 people that come along to our bushfire meetings every year. It's turned into a little bit bigger than that. Now we've got the Chief Officer coming to open it, Fire Services Commissioner coming up, DSE, the Shire of Cardinia, some of the local businesses are coming along to sell some of their bushfire safety stuff, some out-of-town businesses as well. VicPol are going to be there. CFA Community Safety have taken it on board at headquarters and turned it into bigger than Ben-Hur, with tour coaches and all sorts of things coming. And the State Aircraft Unit are coming up, and they've promised they'll bring us a heli-tac on the day, unless it's a total fireman day, in which case we all go home and forget about it. So if you could pass it on to anyone else you know. The flyers will be out this week and signs will go up probably next week. And it's pointless having all these people come if we don't actually get the public to come along and be interested. There's bushfire workshops at the Emerald Library during the course of the day, so people can go along and learn a little bit and then go up and buy some stuff off James, some pumps and hoses, or some firefighting gear off Fire Ready, and then go home and practice and maybe just be a little bit more connected and know where to get some information over the summer. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, Peter Crawford, talk about Emerald Recovery Plan.
Thanks, Ian. First of all, it's just a delight to host this first breakfast, so it's terrific to see you here. We want to make sure that Emerald is a really robust community, not just in business terms, but socially and in every other dimension. You may not be aware that there's an Emerald emergency planning group that's been meeting for years and has developed an Emerald emergency plan. And we think it's probably the pioneer and certainly the best in the state. And we've now developed a draft recovery plan in the event of a disaster. And that'll be a crucial step in our resilience as a community. And we intend to get a group up before an emergency so they can network and plan together for recovery. And the Emerald Business Group will certainly have a seat on that small planning committee. Also mentioning response and recovery, we've got a special service here in a couple of weeks' time to honour all the CFAs and AMBOs and police, etc. And Brad will be here and you'd all be welcome as well.
Thank you, Peter. We recently have, thanks to Greg Thomas, the Emerald Business Group has now got its own Facebook page, putting us into the 21st century. And I've asked Greg if he wouldn't mind just saying a few words about what it is and the value that it provides.
Thank you. Obviously, everything's moving into the new world of technology. Our phone's going everywhere with everything on it, and Facebook's a big part of what's happening. This viral communication that's occurring in our society, and we wanted to be part of that as a group. We want to create an environment where people can share information with each other. So we've created a group on Facebook that allows you to communicate with each other freely, but it's open to everybody in the group. So whatever you say is available for everybody else to see and share. And there'll be opportunity for us also to promote ourselves, tell you about events that are coming up and so forth. So have a look on Facebook, get yourself involved. It's very easy to join. If you don't know how to join, just send me an email or Ian. Ian and I are administrators of the site, so we can add you. And it's very straightforward. My email address is greg@gjic.com.au if you need to know anything about it. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Greg. It's also a very valuable mechanism for actually joining as well. So if you're on Facebook and you want to join, instead of sending an email, you could simply do the be a friend through Facebook and request that you actually join up. Okay, one of the things I said I'd publicise, I was hoping Stephanie might be here this morning to talk about this, but on Friday the 11th of November at the Emerald Secondary School Performing Arts Centre, there is an Emerald Community Girls' Night in, but it is for blokes as well. And there's a little flyer that she has available. You probably find this on the web as well. It's only $10 per head. There's a gift pack for the first 200 people that enter, but there's going to be auctions and raffles. It's going to be a lot of fun, almost as much value for the $10 as this breakfast is itself. So if you get a chance to go along for that, please do so. And it's for a very, very good cause. It's obviously cancer, breast cancer research. Quick plug for myself. In amongst the materials you'll find on the table there, I'm working with Cardinia Shire Council to provide some customer service training. That's planned for the 16th of November, and there's going to be a little appetiser for that this morning. Part of the training we'll do will just be a couple of things that are taken out of that particular training. So if it interests you and you'd like to find out more, please come along, sign up for that. It's only $30, including GST, and there are refreshments provided as well. That's down at the main centre in Pakenham. What's the new centre called, Francis? It's the Gardenia Cultural Centre. Thank you very much. And as I said, this will be the first of a few meetings. So the next one we're planning to be probably February next year, and thereafter we'll do them quarterly. Okay. So before I get on to delivering great customer service, I'd like to invite Brad Batten, MP for Gembrook, to come up and talk to us about small business.
I haven't lost my voice, and I've got a loud enough voice that I reckon you'll all be able to hear me no matter where you are in the building, so I'm pretty safe. Just first of all, just out of curiosity, how many of you watched the footy show during the year or have in the last 15 years? And it starts off with what a big week it's been in football. Well, we can say this week, what a big week it's been in politics. It's probably been one of the biggest weeks we've had in a long time. We became very friendly with the Victoria Police at the beginning of the week. Probably not our best friends at the end of the week. And you can see how it can change. So life does change. And that's exactly what we have to go through at the moment within politics. And those of you who haven't read the front page of The Age, there was an Ombudsman report out. It had quite a negative finding against 2 advisors within the government. And the government's now on the back foot right at the moment in relation to that. The good news at the start of the week was we did actually have a pay rise go through for the Victoria Police. So I was glad I met the police the in-between stage, in between giving them a rise and finding out about an Ombudsman's report that came through. What I am here today about is small business. Small business is something that not just myself, but I know definitely the Liberal Party and the Coalition have been very supportive of. And it's not just now, it's part of one of our principles. And we're a firm believer in if you want to work hard, you should be rewarded. And that's exactly where one of our probably prime objectives comes from with everything we do within our policies for small business. And it's something that I stood by to make sure that we do have those changes whilst in government. Louise Asher is our Minister for Small Business. Now, she does have some other portfolios, including tourism and major events. She gets the good invites to those ones, but the small business one is one that's definitely close to her heart. Her husband started in small business. He is very successful and does very well now. Actually, I'll say I think he's retired now. He was a very good small businessman back in the early days as well. So she takes that for motivation. And the people within the party, we've got a lot of different small business owners. I am a former small business owner. I owned a bakery in Wheelers Hill. We took over a Baker's Delight. I was about to say Brumbies then, that would have been a bit of a bad start, but we had a Baker's Delight on Gells Road, and when we took it over, it was basically the owner was about to go broke. He put it on the market, he was struggling, he had 4 stores, and he decided that he had to get rid of all 4. At the same time, his wife was quite ill, and that's why he had a lot of time away from the businesses. We bought it. Small business, it is very, very difficult. It is very, very difficult. It's hard on your purse. It's a difficult business to get into, and anybody here who's got a small business knows the last person that gets paid is the owner. And so if it's a bad week, you go home without any money yourself, and it becomes quite hard on your family as well. We took the business originally with the perspective, well, it was a long term, it was a 10-year plan. In that 10 years' time, we wanted to get it to a stage that it had a sustainable income and hopefully in a position that it was worthwhile selling and we'd be able to make a small profit off it. When I took over, I simply sat down with my staff. I didn't change any staff. Every staff member I kept on. By the time we left, we'd increased staff by over 100%, so we had over doubled our staff while we were there. And if the income in the store, we nearly doubled within 3 years. There's lots of factors that can go into that. One of the things that was probably good was the economy was good at the time, and everyone was probably in the easiest position at that stage to try and increase their business. The disadvantage side was we had 2 other bakeries open up nearby, and that obviously is a good challenge. What it does do though, is it makes you sit back, have a look at your business, analyse how it's going, and seeing how you can improve it. And I found the best way to improve my business was exactly what you're doing here today, was to get everybody to improve their business. Now, I won't name any of the stores that were in there. You'll guess some of them because there was only one newsagent. When we were in there, we sat down and we asked customers, why do you or why don't you come down to Wheelers Hill Shopping Centre? And the people who did come to Wheelers Hill Shopping Centre, because it was a small centre, we only had a Safeway and only about 12 different specialty stores, they came down for customer service. You asked the people that didn't come along, and it was exactly the same reason. We don't come because of the customer service. So the newsagent, fantastic guy, I got along with him really well. If you were a new customer in the stores, he just didn't like you. Straight away, he didn't like you. You're not regular, you don't come here all the time, why would I want to waste my time on you? If you got the paper, thank you very much and see you later. Well, actually, he wouldn't even say thank you, he'd just give them the paper and off they go. He wouldn't smile, and he had real issues with being at work. He wanted to retire nearly 10 years before, and his business has been on the market for nearly 10 years. That affected my business. We had a jewellery store when we had our first sale. He actually nearly sold out of all the stock he'd been trying to get rid of for a long time. Still had his normal stock available. All his other stock had gone. And we sat down with him and thought, well, why are you unhappy? Why don't you want to do a sale again? It was too hard. It's too much hard work. And I'm like, well, if the result's the money at the end of the day, that's what you're here for, I think that's actually a good result. So it was about getting the whole community involved, about getting everybody on board, and we started having regular meetings exactly like this. We actually had ours every 2 months to try and get people a bit more motivated. And some of those stores, including the newsagents, changed what he did. He wasn't just a news agency then. His wife came in to work with him. They put a little section down the back with that handmade jewellery down the back of the store. And what they did for him was it meant his wife was at work, he was a bit happier, he wasn't in a hurry to retire, and it gave him a bit more motivation to be at work, and his customer service improved. I had to do it with my staff. They'd all lost motivation, they'd all been in the store for a few years. So meetings like this, customer service training, I think, and I know you've just mentioned some, you can do some later on, is the gold to what is going to keep your business going. The reality is, and I think we've all heard it, we're not coming into the best financial times. There could be some challenges coming through. What's going to happen with the economy, nobody really knows. A positive happened in the last day or two over in Greece, where they've wiped $100 billion off the debt in Greece. That has a big impact through the whole world. So we still don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to give you one suggestion from when I had my business. Now is the time to sit back and work out what is good in your business and what is bad in your business, and really focus on improving those good things, and it will help over time. The government so far, I've got a few lists here, and as I said, I'm sorry I had to go back to my notes today with this one. Have been in Parliament all week, so normally I would prepare during the week. We didn't have that opportunity this week in Parliament. So far, I'll go through some of the statistics first. Sorry, there are more than 495,000 active trading small businesses within Victoria. So 495,000. They're the largest employer in Victoria. So small business, without small business, our employment goes down. It would change the whole economy. Every small business does count within those 495. The second biggest employer in Victoria is government. So it gives you an indication of where you are as far as the importance within the Victorian economy and the Victorian budget. Small business provide 47% of the state's private sector jobs, and that's around 1.2 million jobs. So for every small business, there's 2 point something jobs, 2.2 jobs, which I think is very, very important for us. Some of the things we've changed in government so far, probably won't affect this area too much, was the first change we made for small businesses was actually in Melbourne, and we took away the clearway areas along Toorak Road. And everyone may have been aware the clearway areas have a short period of time to get the traffic through. They actually extended it to basically you'd only park in those areas for about 4 hours a day. And if you could imagine coming through Emerald, if all of a sudden they stop parking in the main street of Emerald other than 4 hours a day, make it very difficult for you to trade. Emerald's probably in a little bit different position. You've got other areas around that can park. You can imagine in Toorak there's not too many areas around the back of the shops to park. So once they took it away, they did take away the livelihood of a lot of those stores in there. The second thing we did throughout Victoria, it was based on small businesses. Easter Sunday. Now, Easter Sunday has traditionally been a non-trading day. Easter Sunday was changed over a period of time. In 2003, certain areas could trade on Easter Sunday. Certain businesses have always been. I've always had the milk bar. I was allowed to open in the bakery because I had less than 100 employees. I had less than 15 employees on the day before, and I had less than 15 employees the day after. There was so many different conditions. You could open any shop if you're in a tourist area, Bendigo, Geelong, but you couldn't do it if you're in Ballarat. I'm trying to think of the other conditions on there. There were so many conditions on Easter Sunday. We've lifted that and actually said Easter Sunday can now be used as a trade-in day. Easter Sunday in areas of tourism, and Emerald is an area of tourism, does have the opportunity then to open on Easter Sunday, allowing that extra trade through. And for the small businesses, that is very, very important. Easter Sunday wasn't made a public holiday though. So if you do open on Easter Sunday, it's the normal rates for your staff, so the business can trade as per normal on that day. And I think that for us, for small business, it does give the opportunity. It's not saying you have to open. I think that's the big message we've got out there. It's not saying you have to open. It's also this year not saying, so if any of you are opening on Easter Sunday, you can't force your staff to work this Easter Sunday, because we believe there was too short a period of time. Your staff have to have that opportunity to say no if they've already booked something. Next year, as part of their working conditions, you can have the Easter Sunday. What we find from small business people is they tend to work with their staff, not against their staff. We have more issues in bigger businesses. Small businesses, you tend to have a bit more of a social interaction with your staff, and you can work out whether you decide to open on the Easter Sunday or if they want to work on the Easter Sunday. We've had some other challenges throughout Victoria. One of them was floods. Floods has affected not only the state budget, but it's affected small business all the way through northern Victoria. I've been up through Benjaroop. There's another little town up just past Benny, I can't think of the name, starts with C, we went through there. It's a really, really big challenging time for a lot of those places up there. Anybody who gets the opportunity to still drive up through areas like Benjaroop, some of those shops and houses have still got water in them. So there's still nowhere for the water to go. There's actually one house, we've actually got a little kid up there who comes down here quite regularly. He went to the Cranbourne Cup and had a fundraiser. He's come into Parliament with his parents to meet up with Ted Baillieu, and their house still has 1/2 metre of water. And he's also a farmer. They still can't get in. The only thing they've done so far is dropped off food for the cattle that are still alive. So they've probably lost nearly everything in their farm. And they're in an area that's now obviously classed as flood prone, and they'll probably have the property bought off them. That's an optional buyout. They've decided to do that. An optional buyout means his property's worth about $1.5 million. He's probably got about $3.5 million in debt. So it's very trying circumstances for up there. We've done what we can in supporting small businesses. We've put automatically $25,000 grants out for small business to give them the opportunity to, whether it was for a loan or to catch up on some payments, or just to assist in putting bread and food on the table through those areas up there. It was any area that was affected as a flood zone that a lot of these payments came through. Cardinia was actually, Cardinia was classified as a flood zone, and it's helped out with a few of the farmers and what have you down through Kooyarrup area as well. So, and we're still working with a lot of those areas. Kooyarrup, those sort of areas down Pakenham Way, we're a bit lucky that the floodwaters did recede a lot quicker than up through north, but we still want to make sure we do support those businesses down there. Public holidays, again, was another one we had to change in there. Melbourne Cup Day. Melbourne Cup Day is traditionally a day off, has been a day off for a lot of people, and people still are surprised that we have a day off for a race day. I have to admit, on Tuesday, I'm sure I'll be happy with it. We have changed it again back to what it originally was, and the idea of it, not everybody cares about Melbourne Cup Day. So the regionals areas don't have to have cup day. It is a decision made by those particular communities and councils, and they can now take out the cup day and have a full day somewhere else or 2 half days. And it's brought back the ability for areas, especially up the north in Mildura, that have their Mildura show day. For you up there, who is it? Swan Hill now have theirs. They've just announced they're going to have the Swan Hill race day, which is a half day, and the Swan Hill show day as another half day. And it's decided by the communities, and it's decided through their councils. Those councils have gone out for consultation to make sure that it suits what they want up there, and they're making sure they put it in place. So it does have the opportunity to move it around. Some, and in Bendigo is one of them, they've actually decided Melbourne Cup Day. So they're going to keep Melbourne Cup Day. They think that's more beneficial for them. And they were actually one of the ones that we first thought it would happen. Obviously Bendigo Cup, which was coming up, just run, and the Bendigo Cup we thought would have been a day that they would have had up there, but they've decided Melbourne Cup Day is the day that they want for up in their area. This year, between August 1st and 31st, we had our Victorian Small Business Festival. And did anyone go to the Small Business Festival? Apart from Francis? Yeah. And how did you go? Did you get much out of the actual day? No, so just behind you?
No, I just went to a couple of the local events around here. I didn't actually go into the big meetup, but it was very interesting. It was very worthwhile.
Yeah, the reports we've had from it was a lot of people have asked for it annually, to come back annually. I'm still not sure if it's gone through Louise's office's annual or biannually. It is a fantastic opportunity for small businesses to get out there, not just the networking side. No use in reinventing the wheel. If you can go out there and get an idea for your business, grab it and take it. And the businesses and the courses that are in there are fantastic. What it also gave an opportunity to do for small business is to connect with all the government agencies that can assist in small business that you may or may not have been aware of. And there is a lot out there. There's a lot of assistance out there from the government, which is whether it's someone to help mentoring, and this is federally and state governments. They've got programs for mentoring, they've got programs for financial assistance, they've got programs, even our best friend, the tax office, they can actually give you programs on how to do your tax to make it easier to lodge at the end of the year. I used MYOB during my whole time of business. Most use MYOB or QuickBooks. If you're in a position that they are expensive, and they are expensive programs to operate annually, and you start and you have more than sort of 5 employees, the Australian Tax Office will supply you a program for free. You put it on your computer. Once it's on there, you enter all the information. Coming up tax time, basically, you have a quick run through, make sure you've accurately entered it during the year, and you can enter it online, and you send it off. For business, I think that's a prime opportunity in small business just for time, rather than going to the end of the year. I know MYOB at least took me a day or two just to get it all right towards the end of the year. If you've entered it accurately on the tax one, you know it's in the right order, it's going to enter it into the right spots with the work expenses and what have you, and I believe that would help all businesses as you go along to get through there. Out of curiosity again, anyone in here liquor licence? Have a liquor licence? Yep. Got one? And there's others in the area, so you will, if you do happen to see the other areas around here with liquor licensing, we're committed to changing a few things with liquor licensing. Small business is one that was affected, and community groups is another one that was affected. So the first thing we did was with the clubs, like the Cockatoo Bowls Club, is we halved their liquor licence fee. Their licensing fees over time had gone up to more than double, so we've actually brought it back down to the old figure of around $200 per club, and that includes your footy clubs and all those groups out there. We felt it was unfair that an area like Cockatoo's Bowls Club was punished for alcohol-induced violence. I haven't been to the bowls too often in Cockatoo, but I don't imagine there's too many fights at the Cockatoo Bowls Club. A lot of the small businesses, and you're a restaurant, wasn't it? Yep, and a restaurant, I can't imagine you've had too many issues at the restaurant. So the new system coming in for all liquor licences is exactly the same as your driver's licence. If you offend and you get fined and you're found guilty, you get demerit points. And if you work your way up to a certain amount of demerit points, we'll close you for 24 hours, automatically when you reach that limit. If you then keep going and committing offences, when you come back after your 24 hours and you reach the next level, you'll be closed for 7 days. If you continue after that and you go to the next level, you'll be closed for 3 months, at which time an application will be put in that you, the licensee, and your venue will no longer be able to be licensed. and it will take the licence off that person. Now, it does have some fantastic results, and I've worked in Chapel Street, I've worked in King Street, and there's many clubs in there that have had fine after fine after fine. They've had incidents. I've been to an incident of someone being stabbed in a nightclub, and we, as police, had no power to close that club. All we could do was close off the area and where the incident happened, but we had no rights to close off that pub. Now they'll put all those rights back in place to actually protect the community in there. On the reverse side, good venues, you get a gold star. First year you get a gold star, you'll get a reduction in your licensing fee. Second year, and you can work your way up till eventually becoming a 5-star, half-price venue. So you'll start to get your licensing fees half price if you have everything going well. 90% of licensees throughout Victoria will have their fees halved within the first 5 years, because 90% do the right thing. 10% will have their fees doubled, and about 3% of those will probably be closed within the next 5 years. That's a positive. If you go to areas like Chapel Street, some of those clubs shouldn't be open. So these are the things we're rolling out for small businesses. Still got 3 years and 1 month to roll out many more of our policies coming through. As I said, from our side, with the Minister for Louise Asher, we're very keen to make sure that we do have some good policies come through. My website, quite simple, bradbatten.com. Please, there's a contact page in there. Anyone in small business that either wants some advice, some information in relation to government agencies, or alternatively, some information that you think will be benefit to us or other businesses in Victoria, or something you think should be changed, let us know. Give us an email, give us a call, and we can put it through. One of the big ones is payroll tax. At the moment, payroll tax is being reviewed. It's currently in the Treasurer's office now under review. If you've got ideas on payroll tax, how you think it needs to be done, the reality is it's not going to come off. Like a lot of our taxes, they have to be there, but working out a fairer system for payroll tax. My view on payroll tax, and I've paid it, at the moment it's very unfair because the threshold's $550,000. As soon as you pay more than $550,000, you get taxed for the payroll tax for the whole lot. There's no scaling, it's basically straight in. Should be scaled, and I'm hoping that's one of the things that comes through in the review, and if anyone's got any other ideas, please let us know and email them through. Thank you very much for having us out here today. 2 things that are very important to myself on top of small business is, Peter, thank you very much for having us through here. Community is super important, and Peter, you've got a massive community up here, and the community spirit every time I come here is fantastic. Ian, business community, they're their own community. And it's very important for events like this to get going. As I said before, everybody can get something out of it. It's up to everybody here who does want to get something out of it, how you deal with that. So thank you very much for having us along. And I'm more than happy for questions as well. So thank you very much.
What a fantastic lead-in as well for my quick talk on customer service. There is evidence out there to indicate that even in tough economic times, and we're going through some tough times at the moment, people will still buy if they perceive value and if they feel they get great customer service. The tighter the conditions become, the more those things become acute. Sometimes there's only so much you can do on the value side, there's only so much discounting you can do on price, there's only so many giveaways. So then you really do have to differentiate on customer service, and that's why it's so important. Personally, I really became much more passionate and interested in customer service probably about 25 years ago. I started off as a software developer. That was what I was doing. It can't be that long ago now, but it probably was about 30 years. And I was, like most other software developers at that time, interested in the technology, loved writing programs, code, seeing stuff work and so forth. What was fascinating was when I was asked, I finished a particular project, I was working on digital telephone exchange, and when I finished that particular piece of work, it was a feature called call queuing, where people ring the PBX, and if the PBX is busy, the call gets queued at the exchange. I was asked to go along and do what they called first office application. And first office application is basically going on site, sitting alongside the customer, and finding out how they perceive the product, and if there's issues in the initial installation, you get it fixed. There are very, very high reliability requirements on a telephone exchange, like less than 10 minutes downtime in 40 years. You think about it, not very often you have, oh, I couldn't make the call because the telephone exchange wasn't working. It just doesn't happen. It can't do because you need the fire service, you need the ambulance, you need the police. So there's no way the telephone exchange can go down. So that imposes a whole bunch of requirements. The interesting thing for me was when I was doing this, I thought what was going to be important to them was all the technology, the features, what it was doing, exactly what it was supposed to do. It wasn't. What was important to them was the level of service and support that we provided as a company, how quickly they could find answers to their questions, and how easy they were to be able to deal with us. So it was a real eye-opener. I came back, I wasn't looking forward to that particular assignment, but I got so much out of it because it gave me a totally different perspective on how customers actually perceive the product. And thereafter, in all my business dealings, that's where I tended to focus. I tended to focus on the people and the customer sides, and I actually lost my interest a bit in technology. Probably shouldn't say that, but I did. And that's what I've done in my business life as well. So it's no surprise then that I've put together customer service training, and I've done this for a few organisations in the past. And as I mentioned, there's a flyer there that indicates I'll be doing that for Cardinia Shire Council on November the 16th. And this is just a little bit of an outtake from that. So I'll cover in the space of the next 15, 20 minutes a little bit about why customer service is so important. Bear with me, I've got a few metrics and data that supports that. Talk about how to deliver great customer service, and then some ideas for taking action. So first of all, I thought we'd have a little bit of an interactive session here. I'd like to know, with a show of hands, if you agree or disagree with these following statements. First off, customers pay your wages. Who thinks that's true? Anybody think it's not true? Sensational. Absolutely true. Good to keep that in mind. Customer is always right. Who thinks that's true? They're not always right. The trick is how you tell them they're wrong. I actually did some training for Chris's company, Green Energy Trading, this week. They're constantly having to deal with customers and tell them they're doing it wrong because they're not following legislative requirements properly. So the customer isn't always right. But the trick in delivering great customer service is how you tell them it needs to be done correctly. No such thing as a bad customer. Who thinks that's true? Okay. I'm surprised to hear you say that, Mark, because I've seen some schools. There genuinely is, and again, the trick is to recognise those distinctions. However, having said that, turning a bad customer into a good customer is a tremendously beneficial experience for them and for your business. I've heard this said, businesses can run better without customers. Anybody believe that's true? The idea that the customers bother me, I just want to get on with what I'm doing, it's rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. Okay, here's one. James Cash Penny. Anybody been to the States at all? Over there? JC Penney. It's one of their big stores. It's like Myer, huge store out there, known for their service. James Cash Penny is the guy who actually started it. And he says, courteous treatment will make a customer a walking advertisement. You think he's right? Yeah. Absolutely. Customers can send you broke. Is that true? Who thinks that's true? Who does? Good. Who doesn't think it's true? I think they can. They can actually send you broke. I'm part of an organisation called the Institute for Independent Business, and we're just ramping up some recruitment training at the moment, and I attended a seminar yesterday. It's kind of going back in time because you have to go through that when you join, and I did it 2 years ago, so seeing this done again was interesting. The guy who was talking about it, what we do is we deal with small businesses. He was talking about a particular example where this particular business had a great product, great customer service, totally unable to manage their cash flow. And because customers weren't paying against the requirements, and the business owner was unable to get them to pay in time, even though that business had $2 million worth of orders, $600,000 worth of stock waiting to go, he couldn't pay the shipment costs and the business went broke. Now, perhaps not totally the customer's fault, but it is possible for customers, if they're not managed properly, to send you broke. If you make the customer a promise, make sure you deliver it. Everybody believe that's true? Absolutely right. Okay. So, here's some data. You may or may not be aware of some of these statistics. I found them interesting. You can find a whole lot more on the net if you want to search. But here's some interesting stuff. 96% of dissatisfied customers simply go away, and only 4% actually complain. Okay, so if they have a bad experience, only 4% of the customers who experience that bad experience will actually complain. 96% will go away, never tell you, 91% never come back. How many people have gone into a restaurant, had a bad meal, and simply not said anything about it? Too much hassle, couldn't come back. Yeah. It's easy to do. But if you do complain in a nice way, it's actually valuable information for that restaurant owner. 56 to 70% of customers who complain will do business again if you resolve their issue. It's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to turn that around, especially if you're in a customer support or customer service environment. If they see you're willing to fix their problem, everybody has problems, the extent to which you're able to fix it, tremendously beneficial. On average, this is a statistic I heard probably about 25 years ago, and I know it's still correct. On average, a dissatisfied customer will tell about 13 other people of that bad experience. And on average, those 13 other people tell on average about 5. That means if a particular person receives a bad customer experience, on average, about 65 other people will get to hear about it. Pretty frightening. And about 13% of dissatisfied customers will tell more than 20. Now, I'm assuming these are fairly big dissatisfactions, but nonetheless, you get the idea. And apparently it takes about 12 positive service incidents to make up for one negative. So, great customer service has to head off the negative incidents at the pass if we can. Here's some kind of bottom line implications to good customer service. It actually costs about 5 or 6 times as much to get a new customer as it does to retain your existing customers. And I certainly know that in the business I'm at. It's very hard work to go out and get new customers. But if you can keep your existing customers satisfied, they'll come back. They'll want more business. So there's an economic benefit in there. 5% increase in customer retention can lead to increased profit of between 25 and up to 95%. That retained business is incredibly valuable. And companies that make service a high priority see 12 times compared to those with a low emphasis on service. No surprise with that. Here's an interesting one. Reducing customer service issues by 1% can generate about $25 million worth of profits for a medium-sized enterprise over 5 years. So customer service is not just good to have, it actually is going to have a dramatic impact on your bottom line. And customer loyalty can be worth up to 10 times as much as a single purchase. So once you've got a good customer, worth keeping. So hopefully everybody's convinced that providing good customer service is a worthwhile thing to do. More could be said on that, but let's talk a little bit about how you go about providing great customer service, and of course there is no secret to this. First of all, and here's a really important one, it's really important to motivate and engage your staff. So if you're a business owner and you have staff working for you, really, really important that they embrace with passion what your business is about and treat the customers the way you would like them to be treated. It's absolutely fundamental. They have got to feel that passion as well. Probably about 20 years ago, Chris and I lived in the US for a couple of years and came back to the UK. When you're in the States, especially if you go into a restaurant, they are incredibly customer oriented. Now, there's a reason for that in the US, because a lot of the people who provide the service in the US are actually reliant upon tips. So you get fantastic service because they want to make sure your experience is as good as it can possibly be, because their livelihood depends upon it. Their base salary is really low. So you kind of get used to this excessive kind of great customer service. When we came back to England, it was like night and day, quite frankly. It was, geez. We hadn't noticed it before. It's like the boiling frog. You put the frog in the cold water, turn the heat up, don't notice it. That's the way we felt. We came back and all of a sudden, that poor customer service that typically, frankly, unfortunately, can exist in some of the retail and restaurants in the UK, really came home to us as noticed. Now, partly because they're not incentivised the same way in the US, and nonetheless, it was very clear that a lot of those employees certainly did not share the passion, the excitement about what they were doing. So if you've got an opportunity to do it and you're running your own business, please do everything you can to make sure your own staff are as passionate about your business as you are. They're representatives of it. Here's an obvious one, I think. Treat the customer as you would expect to be treated. Sears in the US had a policy, their customer service policy was simply, if in doubt, treat them as you'd like to be treated. Do what you think's right, basically. And that worked very, very well for them as they employed it. Genuinely listen to customer concerns. One of the things that I was doing with Chris's company this week, as you can imagine, sometimes you have people yelling down the phone. There's a lot of emotion and trying to get to the heart of what the real issue is, the concern, trying to be empathetic with that. At least we'll try to put the customer on side. So you've got an opportunity to try to address the underlying concern. One of the things I find a lot, and especially even the email days, is trying to get responses sometimes. People don't always respond very quickly. When you do get a response, how good is that? You know where you stand, especially if you're asking for something. One of the things that I found in corporate life a lot is you sometimes send out an email asking for something. Could you do such and such? If you didn't get something back, there's that misalignment. You were thinking, well, you didn't say no, or she didn't say no, you must be going to do it. That person said, well, I didn't say yes, probably thinks I'm not going to do it. Misaligned expectations. But the quicker, if you do respond, firstly, you should respond. Secondly, if you do respond, do it in a timely manner so that people know where they stand. Under promise and over deliver. This is a great way to keep and retain and, in fact, acquire new customers. I don't mean here that if somebody orders 2 boxes off you supply 3. I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. Last Christmas, I was in Knox shopping and I decided to get a box of chocolates for somebody. And I went into this shop. It's the one by Harvey Norman in Knox, if you know it. I was in Knox for some other reason. And I went up to buy this box of chocolates and the woman serving said, would you like that gift wrapped? And I said, yes, please. And they did a fantastic job of wrapping this box of chocolates for me, really well. So I didn't need to do it. It looked like it had been done professionally. Didn't cost me any extra. And the chocolates didn't cost me any extra either. But that extra little bit of service, if I'm going to go buy chocolates in Knox again any time, guess where I'm going to go? I'm always going to go back there. So those small little things can make a hell of a difference. And that's what I mean by under-promising and over-delivering. Obviously, avoid getting into an argument if you possibly can. Focus on the issues. And last but not least, and this probably is the biggest single difference, I think, in business, meet your commitments. I said earlier that I was in software development earlier on. There's a report that comes out every year called the Standish Report. The Chaos Report. It's produced by a group called the Standish Group in the US. It reports on the quality and the timeliness of software deliveries. What this report has shown over a period of about 20 years is that something like 25% of all software projects get cancelled. They actually get canned. Either the customer rejects it or the people developing it just drop it. So there's a huge amount of wasted cost there for the start. Another thing is it shows that only about a third, about 30% of projects actually deliver on their original commitments in terms of what was required within the required time frame for that same price. It basically says in that industry, for example, if you just simply do what you say you're going to do, you're going to be providing great customer service because in that industry, people generally don't get it. So meeting your commitments is, I think, certainly these days, a great differentiator in its own right. Never promise something you can't actually deliver. So here's a few hints and tips on taking action in a minute. But this is a great quote I like from Bill Gates. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. If you're in business and you do get complaints, they should be embraced because they are one of that 4% that's actually telling you, didn't like what I got. It gives you an opportunity to do something about it because you might not know. You might be doing something you're not aware of that you could improve, and getting that feedback is incredibly valuable. And again, it's an opportunity to turn around a customer that's dissatisfied into a customer that is happy, and they can become some of your most loyal customers. So if you get unhappy customers or you get bad feedback, treat it as gold. Some simple pointers. Never ignore a customer complaint, and I'm sure nobody here does, but they are not only a valuable source of learning, they're a real opportunity for improvement and beginning of a great business relationship. As I said earlier, always respond swiftly. People appreciate a swift response, even if you can't action their request. If you have no intention of actioning it, let them know as quickly as possible they can go somewhere else. Don't promise anything you can't deliver. I think we've covered that with meeting commitments. And for those businesses that are in an industry whereby you're dealing with a lot of customers on a lot of basis in terms of giving out service that's going to require some kind of assessment, it's really useful if you can collect feedback on the quality of what you're doing over a sustained period. It could be done by surveys, just whatever it is, whatever qualitative method. But the more you can actually collect some feedback on the quality of what it is you're providing in terms of your service or your products, then, and start to see some trends, it'll give you an idea about how you're going in the marketplace. And then with that data, you can benchmark your own service against the competition. So how do we expect to be doing? How are we actually doing in practice? So those are just a few pointers. There's a lot more in the actual presentation I'm going to be doing at Cardinia Shire Council. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Pretty clear. Good. All right. So I want to say a big thank you to a number of people. First off, I think you'd all agree the breakfast this morning was absolutely sensational. So I don't know if we can get the chef out, Peter, but I think he deserves a warm round of applause because I think the breakfast was fantastic. They've gone. So thank you very much indeed.
Well, we're going to bring out some good percolated coffee, so if you're interested.
Oh, awesome. Great. Thank you very much indeed. I'd like to extend a big thank you to Brad Batten. As I said, he's a very passionate speaker and he's passionate about what he does and he's always great value. So many thanks for coming out, Brad. Big thank you to Peter and St Mark's Church for the venue. Peter has been working closely with the Emerald Business Group and had indicated well before today that he'd like to help in some ways, and I think you can see he's done it in spades today. So excellent venues, work really well. I do appreciate your help and support, Peter. I'd like to say a big special thank you to Louisa. Louisa is instrumental in getting the business group off the ground. She's very active on that. Was it 2009? Really kind of got going, and she's worked tirelessly on that for that period of time. So Louise is currently the secretary of the Emerald Business Group, but did a huge amount to get the whole thing going in the first place. So opportunity to thank you, Louise. Just before I thank everybody for coming, I do want to say there's one I've missed off here, and I'd like to thank Ken very much indeed for the next item, which is the prize that we're going to have for the business card draw. So I want to say a big thank you to Elevation for supplying that. It's a $50 voucher for Elevation, and I can attest to the quality of Elevation's food. It's fantastic. Done a tremendous job with that restaurant, so well done. And then lastly, and not least, thank you to all of you for turning up today. I'm delighted with the attendance. It's surpassed my expectations. Thank you for your attention and for your support. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we now come to the prize draw, and I'm going to ask Brad if he wouldn't mind come up and select a business card from amongst these, and the lucky winner will have, as I said, a $50 voucher to Emerald.
Louise, what kind of kid?
Hey. Yes, come and get it. No, otherwise it will disappear.
Thank you. And thank you to Elevation.
Fantastic. Okay, that's it for this morning. So I'd welcome your feedback. If there's things that you'd like to see us do additionally or change, please let us know. Now's the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better and have a coffee. And Louisa.
Can I just say, there are a lot of business members here, but for people that perhaps have come today that aren't members and are interested in joining, there's, as we mentioned earlier, the membership kit on the tables. Feel free to join. It's really not a lot of money, and there is a lot that you get out of it. As you can see, a lot of networking. We're working very much with the local schools, the local churches, with Cardinia Shire, and we're just trying to achieve positive outcomes really for business and the community.
Exactly right. Yeah, thank you, Louisa. Yeah. Good job. Okay. Thank you very much indeed.